All right, welcome back. Today we're continuing our RBT exam practice questions series. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm so glad that you are working hard, studying hard, and making the commitment to passing your RBT exam. We've had a lot of people pass recently, and one thing they all had in common is they put in the time, they put in the work, put in the effort, and it paid off. So good on you. Okay, keep working hard, keep at it. If you are looking for study materials, check out our website, rbtexamreview.com, or our shop, gumroad.com/rbtexamreview. You can also go to one of these links, which I'll put in the comments and descriptions below. We offer 2 practice exams, a full RBT task list study guide. Our combo pack comes with everything and flashcards. It's our best deal, and then a competency study guide for both the initial and the renewal. Check those out. If you are enjoying the videos, please like and subscribe. That helps me, supports me, so I can keep putting the videos out. Comments, questions, leave them below. Email me. Happy to help. Other than that, keep working hard, and let's get into the questions. All right, question 1. You're leading a group DTT session with 4 kids. You're going around the table and asking each client a question based on their skill level. Every 1 minute, a timer goes off, and another RBT puts a token on a token board. When the client earns 5 tokens, they go on break. Which of the following describes the reinforcement schedule for delivering tokens? Okay, so starting here, what is the question asking? Okay, we always need to figure that out, okay, because there's a lot of information in this question, but it's only asking specifically about the reinforcement schedule for delivering tokens, okay? So first things first, that's what we're answering, right? Forget everything else. We just want to know, what is the reinforcement schedule for delivering tokens? Well, if we look, we see every 1 minute, a timer goes off and another RBT puts a token on the token board. So that's our reinforcement schedule. How do we classify that? How do we describe that? Is that an FR1, an FR5, a VI 1 minute, or an FI 1 minute? So what do we know about FRs? Well, we know R is a ratio or a response, okay? Tokens are based on what? Time. So we can immediately eliminate the FRs. That leaves us with the VI 1 minute and the FI 1 minute. So is our reinforcement schedule for delivering tokens consistent, or does it change? Well, it says every 1 minute we deliver a token, okay? That means it's consistent. It doesn't change. In other words, it's what? It's fixed, right? So what is our answer? Fixed interval, 1 minute, okay? So basic reinforcement schedule question, pretty straightforward, but you have to make sure that you are answering the question and answering what they are asking you. Don't get distracted by the other stuff, okay? When the client earns 5 tokens, that's irrelevant to what they're asking you. So on the exam, read the question carefully and only answer the question asked, okay? Question 2. A skill acquisition plan contains several parts that are all essential. Which of the following answer choices is the final step in creating and implementing a skill acquisition plan? So skill acquisition plans are what we use and what we design to teach skills in ABA, okay? There are many parts to them. They're all essential, but there's only one step that's the final step. And what is that, okay? That's what this question is asking. Is it identifying measurement procedures, implementing procedures, modifying the plan, or collecting and reviewing data? Well, identifying measurement procedures wouldn't be the last step, okay? Because before we can even take data, what do we need to do? Well, we need to have a measurement system. So measurement comes even before taking data. Implementing procedures, again, before we can get data, right, we have to implement, okay? So this comes also before data. Therefore, it's not going to be the last step in a skill acquisition plan. What about modifying the plan? Yes, this would be your final step, okay? After you've chosen a skill, selected a goal, chosen measurement procedures, implemented procedures, collected and reviewed data, then, if necessary, you modify the plan, okay? So you can see here, and this is directly from our task list study guide, the steps to the skill acquisition plan, okay? There's no trick to this, right? It's just understanding the concepts, okay, of a skill acquisition plan, right? So if you're going to study this part, go through it and try to write write a plan, right? Just for one goal. So you might pick a skill, let's say handwriting. You would create a goal for handwriting. How would you measure handwriting? Get baseline on handwriting, implement your procedures, collect data on handwriting, and then modify the plan if necessary. Okay, that's really it. There's no trick to this. You just need to understand how the process of writing a skill acquisition plan actually works. Okay, Rachel is helpful with chores around the house, but she tends to fold clothes too quickly. This results in wrinkly clothes and messy drawers. Rachel folds 15 articles of clothing per minute. What is the average IRT? Okay, so an average question. We're looking for the average inter-response time of what? Of folding clothes, okay? So this is a very typical use for IRT, right? If you want to increase the time between responses or decrease it, we first want to know, well, what is the time in between responses? So we have 15 articles of clothing per minute, and we need the average. How are you going to find that? Okay. All you're going to do is you're going to take your total time, which is 1 minute or 60 seconds, okay, and divide that by the number of responses, which is 15. And what does that get you? That gets you 4 seconds, okay? So again, the most basic math you'll be asked on the exam is to find an average or to find a percentage. If you understand how to do those two things, the math on the exam is very straightforward. As always, like I tell you, you get a calculator, you get paper and pencil, okay? They're not going to ask you anything harder than this, okay? Understand how to find the average IRT, average duration, and then find a percentage. You'll be just fine. While working with your client, you identify that your client lacks certain skills around the house. Your BCBA wants to target these skills. Before you start teaching the skills, your BCBA breaks each skill down into steps based on watching somebody else do the task. What did your BCBA do? All right, so you're working with your client and you're communicating with your BCBA like you're supposed to. Okay, and you identify that there are certain chores or certain life skills that maybe your client doesn't have. Your BCBA says, okay, let's target these skills, but to teach them, okay, we want to break them down into steps. And that's what your BCBA does. So what is that called? Is that a chaining analysis, a task analysis, a functional analysis, or a functional behavior assessment? Well, you should immediately be able to eliminate C and D if you've been studying, okay? Because you know a functional analysis has nothing to do with these chains, right? And neither does the functional behavior assessment, okay? We're taking a skill and breaking it down into steps, right? So is that chaining analysis or task analysis? Well, before we can chain, okay, before we can do a task chain or even analyze the task chain, what do we need to do? We need to conduct a what? A task analysis. And that's what your BCBA did, right? When you take a complex skill, let's say around the house they can't sweep, and you break sweeping down into multiple steps, what you're doing is a task analysis. You're analyzing the task, creating a chain, and then you teach the chain, okay? So task analysis comes first, task chaining comes second. If you were asked to assist your BCBA with conducting a direct behavior assessment on a new client, which of the following procedures would you not use? All right, so this is a simple question, but a tricky question, okay? Because in the question, there's one word that's going to give you the answer, but you have to read the questions carefully, okay? You have a good amount of time on the exam, okay? Enough time at least to read the questions carefully, right? And that is the first step. If you're rushing through, okay, and not reading carefully, you're going to make careless mistakes. So read the question again. If you were asked to assist your BCBA with conducting a direct behavior assessment, as soon as you read direct behavior assessment, okay, that should send an alarm to you on what you're looking for, okay? Which of the following procedures would you not use? So you're looking for something that isn't a direct behavior assessment. Is that event recording? Event recording is direct, right? What is direct assessment? When you observe the client. Event recording involves you observing the client. Narrative recording, same thing. Narrative recording involves you observing the client. Direct observation is obviously observing the client. That leaves you with what? an interview. What is an interview? An interview is an indirect assessment, okay? So this question is either really easy or really difficult. If you know your terms and you know your definitions and you know indirect versus direct assessment and you read the question carefully, this is a question that you should be able to answer 15, 20 seconds, okay? If you don't know your terms, you don't know your definitions, and you tried to rush through this question, okay, it might get a little more confusing, right? But if we're conducting a direct behavior assessment, we're not going to use interviews. Interviews are indirect assessments. They don't involve us directly observing the behavior. Rather, they involve us asking questions to people around the client or to the client directly. Linda is an excellent math student but struggles with reading. Every day, students are required to read for 10 minutes independently. Linda's teacher tells Linda that if she reads all 10 minutes without asking for a break or getting out of her seat, then Linda can play math games on the computer for 5 minutes. Linda now reads 10 minutes every day. Math games on the computer is what? Okay, so if we look at our answer choices, this is a basic reinforcement or punishment question, right? How do we answer reinforcement punishment questions? Well, we ask ourselves, was something added or taken away? Did the behavior increase or decrease? If you ask yourself those two questions on every reinforcement punishment question, you'll never miss one. So let's start there. Was something added or something taken away? Well, when Linda reads, she gets math games on the computer. Math games on the computer are added. Therefore, this is what? It's positive, right? Negative is taken away. Positive is added. Math games are added. This is positive. So we're looking at A or C, positive reinforcement or positive punishment. Did Linda's behavior increase and maintain, or did Linda's behavior decrease? Well, it says Linda now reads 10 minutes every day. So Linda's behavior maintained and increased. Therefore, it's what? Reinforcement. Reinforcement is increasing. Punishment is decreasing. That leaves us with what? We're adding positive, and the behavior is increasing reinforcement. Therefore, our answer is A. Math games on the computer is positive reinforcement. Break it down like that. You'll never miss a positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement question, okay? However, when you get really good, this becomes a very simple question and one that you could be able to answer very quickly. Tommy is old enough to go to the store by himself. His parents give him a list of items and give him a candy bar for helping, but he sometimes forgets to buy everything on the list. This time, his mom tells him that if he buys everything on the list, he will earn his candy bar, but if he forgets anything, he doesn't get to eat his candy bar. What type of intervention is this? Okay, based on our answer choices, we're looking for some sort of differential reinforcement procedure, okay? Maybe that was obvious to you when you read the question. If it wasn't, that's okay. Go back, review differential reinforcement, and understand what it is. Differential reinforcement is what? Reinforcing one behavior, putting other behaviors on extinction. So what is mom reinforcing? Mom is reinforcing Tommy for buying every item on the list. If Tommy forgets an item, they're putting that on extinction. Because previously, if Tommy just went to the store and bought items, he'd get a candy bar. Now Tommy has to buy all the items, okay? So is this a DRA, DRI, DRO, or DRL? Well, let's go through our process for answering differential reinforcement questions. First, DRO. Are we reinforcing in the absence of a behavior for a behavior not occurring, or are we reinforcing for a behavior occurring? Well, we're reinforcing for a behavior occurring, right? We're reinforcing when Tommy buys all the items. Therefore, DRO is not our answer because DRO is what? DRO is when you reinforce for a behavior not occurring. So that leaves us with DRA and DRI, okay? These are our three primary, right? DRA, DRI, DRO. So is this a DRA or a DRI? What's the difference? Are we reinforcing a behavior that can occur at the same time as our behavior on extinction? Or are we reinforcing a behavior that can't occur at the same time? Can Tommy buy all the items on the list and not buy all the items on the list? No, that's impossible, right? He either buys all the items on the list or he doesn't. So is our behavior incompatible or is it alternative? Well, that's clearly incompatible, right? Tommy either buys all the items, okay, or he doesn't, right? He can't do both. Therefore, this is differential reinforcement of an incompatible behavior. We're reinforcing buying all items, putting forgetting items on extinction. Okay, those are incompatible. Differential reinforcement of incompatible behavior. If you don't understand differential reinforcements, the DRAs, especially if you just started studying, okay, don't be concerned. This is one of the more harder concepts for people to understand. My advice is go through the study guide, learn everything else, come back to differential reinforcement as you get more familiar with the concepts, okay? It's very tricky at first, right? But once you get it down, it becomes a very simple process. Nick teaches a special education classroom with 15 students by himself. 5 of the students have trouble staying in their seats. Nick wants to take data on in-seat behavior for these 5 students. What would be the most practical measurement system to use to record data for all 5 students? All right. What is this question asking? This question is asking, what's the best way for Nick to take data on 5 students at a time? Okay. And there's a very specific idea to answering this question, right? So think about our types of measurement. We have continuous measurement and we have discontinuous measurement, okay? What is continuous measurement? Continuous measurement is recording every instance of a behavior. What is discontinuous measurement? Discontinuous measurement is recording only certain instances of behavior given certain intervals or certain times, okay? So what's more practical for recording data on all 5 students? Is it practical for Nick, who has 15 students, to record data continuously for 5 students? No, not really. This is when discontinuous measurement comes into play. And our discontinuous measurement is our time sampling, right? Our interval recording. So if Nick wants to record data for all 5 students, should he use frequency, duration, momentary time sampling, or rate? Well, what does A, B, and D have in common? They're all continuous measurements, right? He wouldn't use frequency for in-seat behavior, right? He might use rate, he might use duration, or he wouldn't use rate either, right? He would probably use duration if he was going to use continuous measurement. But is it practical to take duration data on 5 students at a time when he has 10 other students to look after? Probably not, right? The most practical way would be momentary time sampling. What is momentary time sampling? Well, at the end of an interval, you look up and you record, is the behavior occurring? Is it not? So for Nick, he might set a 3-minute timer, and every 3 minutes he looks up and looks at the 5 students and records, are they in their seat? Are they not? This is much more practical than trying to continuously take data on all 5 students, okay? So that's the main difference between our continuous and our discontinuous, okay? Continuous is good for one-on-one settings and when you can constantly observe your client and record every instance. If you're in a group setting, okay, a more chaotic setting, right? Discontinuous measurement is often better, right? Because it allows you to do other things, okay, instead of always focusing on taking data throughout the session, okay? The best, most practical measurement system here is momentary time sampling. Although RBTs are expected to conduct themselves professionally while avoiding dual relationships, RBTs should also create an environment that is conducive to effective services. Some examples of this are greeting parents when you arrive, making small talk with parents, and being polite and respectful around the client's family. These are examples of what? So, we want you to be professional, right? You don't want to cross lines between professional and personal, no dual relationships, okay? But you also need to create an environment, okay, that will allow you to deliver effective services. The client's family needs to be comfortable with you. They need to be comfortable with you in their home. They need to be comfortable with you working with their child, okay? How do you do that? Okay, well, you greet them when you arrive, you talk to them, you ask them how their day was, you're polite, you're respectful, okay? All these things lead to a better relationship between you and the client's family. When you do these things, what are you doing? Are you building rapport? Are you intervening with the client? Are you training parents? Or are you just developing conflicts of interest? Well, you're not training parents, right? Because one, RBTs don't independently train parents, but 2, there are no examples of training parents here. C is out. Are you intervening with the client? No, you're just making small talk and being polite, greeting parents, okay, being respectful. B is out. Are you creating a conflict of interest? No, you haven't done anything unethical here, okay? You're simply what? You're simply building rapport. Building rapport is essential with both the client and the client's family, okay? Obviously, when you get a new client, the first thing you should do is build rapport with them, okay? But you should also build rapport with the family. You want the family to be comfortable with you, okay? You want them to be okay with you in their home working with their kid. And building rapport is a key piece in doing that, okay? So I'm sure you've been told that you need to build rapport with the client, but it's just as important for you to build rapport with the client's family. Luke is conducting preference assessments with his client. He has 4 items: a truck, a candy bar, magnets, and an iPad. When the client is presented with the items, the client selects the iPad. Luke records this, removes the iPad, and presents the other items once again. He does this until all items have been recorded. What type of preference assessment is Luke conducting? Okay, super simple question. Preference assessment questions should be very easy for you, okay? Especially if you're fluent and you've been studying your study guide and your flashcards and learning your terms and definitions. Preference assessment questions should not throw you off, okay? Because what can you do? Well, you can immediately start to eliminate choices. Ask yourself, are we conducting preference assessments using 1 item, 2 items, or 3 or more items? Okay. Well, Luke has 4 items and he's presenting them all at the same time. So we're presenting 3 or more items. You can immediately eliminate single stimulus and forced choice. Okay. Single stimulus is 1 item. Forced choice is 2. Okay. Multiple stimulus is 3 or more. That's a quick way to eliminate at least a few answer choices. Now you ask yourself, okay, this is clearly multiple stimulus. Ask yourself, the item that the client selected, was that item put back or was that item removed? Well, Luke removes the iPad. So this is what? This is multiple stimulus without replacement. We're presenting 3 or more items in an array. The client is selecting an item. We take away the item. We don't replace the item, right? And we present 3 items and then 2 items, okay? Multiple stimulus with replacement would be Luke presents the items. Client selects the iPad. Luke puts the iPad back and replaces the other items, okay? So again, preference assessment questions should be very simple by the time you're ready to take your exam, okay? Ask yourself, are we looking at 1 item, 2 items, 3 or more, and then was that item replaced or was it not? All right, that wraps it up for today. Thanks for watching. Keep studying hard. If you need study materials, check out our website, check out our shop, okay? Like and subscribe, that helps me, that supports me. I'll be back Friday with another video. When you do pass your exam, let me know so I can give you a shout out in our shout out videos. Other than that, question, comments, email me, comment below. Keep at it, keep studying hard, and I will see you soon.